But we want to cover three main areas with D2L today. The first is how to navigate, then we're going to go over how to engage, and then how to grade. Really the main three areas that you need whenever you're facilitating a course. So we're going to start with navigation. Up at the top here, we have springfieldcollege.brightspace.com. Now this is how we get to essentially our LMS website. So just like Moodle, where you go into Firefox, Safari, or you go into Chrome and type in the address for Moodle, or even go to PrideNet and click on Moodle, you're going to be able to access this the same way. You can use that URL and pop right in. You're going to put in your username, which is the same as your PrideNet username and password. You hit login. And immediately you're going to notice it's a lot cleaner than what we saw with Moodle. It's a lot more organized. As you scroll down here, you have all the courses that you are currently teaching or enrolled in. So right out of the bat, you're going to have a instructor training to teach you kind of the ins and outs, things that you would want to know as an instructor. You also are going to have your sandbox. This is going to be a place, just like we had in Moodle with the development server, some place where you can create and try things out without the fear of messing up one of your courses. I know this is the way I learn best. If I want to learn how to do a forum, but I don't want to necessarily do it wrong in front of students, I can try it out and see what it looks like here. As you scroll down even further, you're going to see global announcements. These are going to be announcements from Kim and myself to you guys. It could also be from an administrator down the line, things that are like little reminders. And these are going to be for everybody across every course. So you're not going to see those in your individual courses. On the right-hand side is your calendar. These are going to show upcoming due dates. So if you are a student or if you're enrolled in a course, you may see due dates like here where it says week 5 due. As I scroll back up here, we have what's called our Navbar at the top, and this is really how we navigate around. So if I was in a course, like if I scroll down here to training demo, at the top, you notice my nav bar is a little bit different. It's customized for each course. Most of them may look identical. I don't think we're doing a lot of customization with the nav bar, but you're going to see it right up here. As you scroll down, these are going to be your course announcements. So these are announcements from you to your students. So you could put an announcement like, hello, welcome to week 1. Or if you want to say, reminder, we got that big paper coming up. You can put announcements and it sends it out to every student. You can tell what course you're in by the top left-hand side here. So it says training demo. That could be something like MMHC 613, or it could be whatever your course name is. You'll know you're in the right place because you see it in the top left-hand corner. As I scroll down on the right-hand side, you can see I have my calendar for the individual course now. So this shows me what's happening in that course itself. You have your updates. So if I'm instructing, I can have here all my discussion posts if they're unread. If I have assignments that are due, they're going to show up here. If I have people that submitted and I haven't graded, they'll show up here. And then you have your nav bar. So I want to go over what you kind of ignore and then what you look at. So the first thing I want you to never ignore is the help button. The help button is actually helpful. I know it sounds like a little crazy idea, since most programs that's not the case, but the help bar has some amazing utilities in here. If I click on video tutorials, it's going to take me to over what we call the community. Now these are resources submitted not just by Brightspace and D2L, but these are going to be resources submitted by other people who are using the platform too. So like if you wanted to make a topic about things that are useful for you, you can submit up to here and they can get approved. And D2L and Brightspace do monitor these, so that way you're not filtering through a ton of junk. But they have some great things. You can even search by topic. So if I'm an instructor, I can look under instructor. They've got some excellent video tutorials. They've got excellent handouts. This is a lot of the time where Kim and I go for if we have questions or if we're trying to learn something, we're going to go right into the community. And that's all right from within that help tab here. There's also documentation. So if you're more of a handout and more of a reader, you can go right from there. Your Brightspace help will be your 24/7, 365 support line. So we are investing in support this time. That way we can make sure you guys have questions answered. If you're having an issue grading, you're going to have somebody there for you via chat, via phone, via email, whenever you need. My Brightspace you can kind of ignore for now, but content is going to be probably the one tab you use most often. When I click on content, it's going to load up here. This is going to be where the course lives, and you'll see this in your D2L dictionary as well. Unlike Moodle, where everything was linear and you just scroll down for days, everything is organized a little bit differently. So on the left-hand side, we have what we call modules, And these are going to be your little clumps of material. So I have like week 1. If I click on week 1, it opens up on the right hand side. So when I say it's less linear, you can see we're going top down and then left right. So things are opening up when we click on them on the right hand side here. So here's week 1. You can see we have our learning objectives, and then we have what we call submodules, or these little tiny individual clumps within the clumps. I know it's a very attractive term. As we scroll down, we have reading and watching. So this is going to be all the materials that they are doing for homework. So whether it's reading a book, an article, watching a PowerPoint, watching a video, going to a website, it's all right there. They can click on it, it goes right in. As you scroll down in activities, these are going to be the things that you're engaging or interacting with. And Kim's going to go into them in a little bit more depth. But things like discussion boards, assignments that you're doing, projects that you're doing are all going to live underneath activities. As we scroll back up here, you can also see there's a table of contents. So if you are more of that linear person, you don't like having to go back and forth like that, when I click on table of contents, it brings everything in a linear view. So you can see here's the module of week 1, the module of week 2, and you have your sub-modules listed underneath. Making sense so far? All right. You also have discussions.
Looks good.
Perfect. Good to hear.
It looks good, very clean. I like it.
Yeah, it is. It's a huge upgrade from what we've seen before. I know that's one of the reasons we're most excited is it feels new and it looks new and it makes sense, which is also nice. You also have your discussions, your grades, and Kim's going to touch on those a little bit more. But you also have groups. So if you do want to do group projects or group students, you can create groups right within here. And then my favorite, class list. This is actually going to be all the students listed in your course. So you can see here's all my students, here's my instructor. And if I wanted to email all of my students, I could either click individual ones, or I can click the entire list and send either an instant message that shows up in D2L for them, or email them. Or I can print that class list if needed. So I can hit email class list, and just like that, I can send an email to those folks. Activities are where all your activities are going to live, assignments, quizzes. They're also located in content and reference there, and Kim's going to go into those a little bit more. The one last thing I want to show you is up at the top here, right above your nav bar, we have what's called the 3x3 or 9-point matrix. I've also heard it called the waffle. So it's really depending on what you want to call it. Kim and I have a trouble seeing the waffle, but I've been assured it's there. If I click on the waffle, you can see here's all the courses that you are currently teaching. If there's ones that you had taught before that are loaded into D2L, and this may not be the case for the pilot, but in the future that you wanted to reference back quite a bit, you'll notice these little pins on the side. So if psychopharmacology was something that I wanted to reference back to, I just click the pin, and now it's saved to my most commonly used courses. So if you end up teaching for years and you have all these courses, you can have your favorites right at the top here. You also have any of the email that you are receiving, instant messages and email show up in the top here. So if students are emailing you within the system or instant messaging you within the system, they can see if you're online. They can send you a little ping there. You also have any of your notifications. So if you have a discussion board you need to grade or something like that, may pop up there. And that's about it for navigation. So I'm going to turn the reins over to Kim. And if you have any questions, please definitely let me know.
And I just as a little aside, I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bree, but when you pin something, it will show up on your personal dashboard. So as soon as you use your username and ID to log into Brightspace, you're given a dashboard. And that's when she said they are up close right to the top of the list. That's where you'll see them. Is that correct, Bree?
Absolutely. They show up in both places, which is nice. So you have on the front page, and then it shows up in your waffle at the top too.
Great.
I like how we're now calling it the waffle. We've adopted it.
I know, we've adopted. I guess we've adopted. I was calling it a 9-dot matrix like we have in Google. And what did you call it, Bree? A 3x3?
I called it a 3x3, which doesn't make any sense. It's so many words. The waffle it's catching on.
Well, it's a one word. I don't know where I got the 9 dots. Somebody told me from IT that that's what they called it, and I adopted it, but waffle it is. All right, so I'm going to share the screen, my screen. And I want to make sure you can see it, and maybe you could confirm that, Bree. Can you see the training demo?
Yes, I can.
Great. Okay, so Andreas, the points that we want to discuss here are the most commonly used pieces as an instructor. So in our training demo, we find that, like in most of our classes, discussion topics, discussion forums, I should say, are what we use very often. And so there's a couple of ways that you can access those. Primarily, though, I think it's really good to get used to using content. It's kind of the one-stop shop for accessing your course. So when that happens and we have a particular week that's identified open, we can see that the discussions are posted right here. When we click on the live link, we can see the list of the responses from the students. Poor Bree has been a very busy bee in her course, and she's posted everywhere. So now it's my role as the instructor to respond to her. So what I'm going to want to do is actually click on the actual forum. In this case, we have case studies, but they're built as a discussion as well. So we can see an option here that's to start a new thread, which would allow me to start a statement that I want the entire class to see, maybe take it in a new direction, but still under this particular discussion. Or if I'm interested in replying to this specific student, I'm going to go ahead and click on her or his submission. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of detail here, and it gives me an opportunity to now reply to this specific thread. So in this way, I can respond to the student, and not all other students may or may not see it depending on whether or not they go in. But if that was the case and I was responding, I would simply post my words here as further instruction for the student. Great job. Okay, now I've just posted it in the box here, but like Moodle, this discussion box has an HTML editor. So we see some of the basic options here, but by clicking on this little 3-dot area over here, more options become available to you. So just to be aware, it's basically the same as you had in Moodle, but it gives you a little flexibility. And then, of course, we can post it. Now, the other thing is you'll probably want to grade the student. So after we were to post that, we could actually go in and assess the student by providing a grade. That gives us this option. If you want to read this first and add to the thread or this general feedback, you can do that here. And you can also add the grade right here, whatever the grade is. Let's say Bree did a really great job and we gave her a 95. We could identify when we were going to sort these pieces of information, and then when save and close takes place, this will automatically roll over to the grade book and the general feedback would post. So I'm just going to click on that and go back to my content. And do you have any questions about that, Andre?
You were mentioning that the privacy of the feedback or the availability for other students to view it, is that just dependent on the like assignment or discussion post itself, or was there an option to make it private? Like, one of the things that I think just a little time consuming sometimes is like, you give your general feedback after a forum post or discussion post, and then having to go and look into the students messaging, like look up the students to message. So I'm wondering if there's a way to do it privately from there, so that sometimes there might be some feedback that you don't really want the rest of the class to see.
Well, it's going to depend on the way you set up your forum. And what I mean by that is discussions based on their design are created to share and make visible to other students what's being posted. That's why often discussions require that not only is an original post to be submitted, but also a response to 2 other students. So obviously, in order to respond, you'd have to be able to see those comments. What I was referring to is if I clicked on this and on this response, and then I click start a new thread, it's no longer just exactly what I have here. Here was Bree's intro, then I made a response, and then I made another response to this thread So it's very similar to your email. If you click on an email and then you reply and then somebody responds and they reply to the same email, as you scroll up, you see all of the pieces of information related to that particular forum. Now, if you wanted it to be private, there's a couple of options. Either you need to group each student in that forum so that they are all individually grouped and no other students can see them, and no other students could respond to their posts. Or if you're looking to have a private discussion, for example, let's say you wanted your students to create a journal, and that journal might have some private information that you didn't want the other students in the class to see. If it's built into an assignment, it would remain confidential between you and the student only. But if you are interested in a discussion where other students are engaging in the conversation, then you're going to want to use a discussion. So you have to figure out what it is that you want to do with the responses. If you want them to view others and respond to them, it should be a discussion. If you want it to be a private discussion, I would use it as an assignment and call it a journal.
If you wanted to give one-time feedback to the student, you could use the assess student field, and you can give them individual feedback that's private to them as part of their grade and say, you did great, but you really need to work on this. I've noticed this is an issue. That's something you probably don't want to see other students to see. When you hit assess students and write feedback comments in there and under general feedback, that is only from you to the student, and so nobody else can see it. It's just part of their grade item.
Yeah, that's perfect. It just, the accessibility I think is really nice with this, but that's kind of exactly what I was looking for, and I agree. The whole purpose of discussion posts, and I've learned some students really are very, how do I say it, sensitive or
That's a good word.
mindful of the feedback, and even feedback that's not particularly bad. It's it's a critical assessment, and hey, you did good. I would elaborate on this in the future. I've found that some students take that harshly, even when and it's part of the graduate process, but that's a very helpful tool to do it that way. So that way I wouldn't have to separately be emailing them, and it just gets kind of trickier, I think, that way to keep track of everything.
So that would be basically the discussion piece. So you feel pretty comfortable with that? You have what you need?
Yes, that's great.
Great. So now when it comes to assignments, it's a little bit different. If you were to create an assignment, I'll just demonstrate that here. So we have an assignment that's been listed here. Unfortunately, it doesn't work quite the same way as a discussion does. So when you're ready to look at the assignments, you come up to the Navbar and choose activities and then select assignments. Once you've done that, you find the assignment that you're looking to review, grade, comment on, and you would click the text. Now that you're here, you want to select files. And this now allows you to see the files that have been posted. What happens is if you leave it in the users tab, this does allow you to see them. I thought it didn't. I'm sorry. So the point was that you're able to access all the submissions. So now that you're able to, just jot that down. Now that you have identified that, you're going to click on the submission name, and then it opens up here for you to view, or you can download it. So some folks they're not necessarily interested in doing track changes and returning the file to the student. They just want to read it and they want to provide comments. So if that's the case, it's not necessary to download it on your computer. You can read it right here, and let me make this a little bit bigger. And right here under the evaluation section, you can come down to the feedback box, and you can, as you're looking at it, write the comments right here. So you can provide whatever you need here in a text format, or you can create a little video note or audio note and record your comments as you're reviewing the paper. So that's up to you as an individual. But if you did download it and you did use track changes, you could also attach the file back here with this option. Again, the HTML editor area is the same. So you have the options of however, if you're going to use text, you want it to appear and provide your feedback. And here is where you grade. So in this section, you're able to basically view, respond, and grade in one location. And the beauty of it is you can also just move right on to the next student. So if you're about to grade everyone in the class their assignment after a period of time, you can sit there and go through all of them in this way. When you're done with your comments and your grading, you click publish and you're good to go. How does that sound?
That sounds awesome. Did I may have heard incorrectly? Did you say we could audio record feedback?
Can you speak up just a little bit louder? I've got my computer all the way up, but I can barely
Sure,
hear
sure.
you.
No worries. Did you say that you can provide audio feedback, like record audio feedback, or did I miss?
Yes,
Uh,
no, you're correct. See right here, there's a record audio and there's a record video. So you can create a little audio note that would be attached to your response to the student. So you can give feedback there, or you can make it a video. It's up to you. But you can also just attach the file. So if you did download the file and you did use track changes, you could return it with its changes here. But then you have the option of, you can actually could probably do both. I don't think there's the limitation. It
Nope.
would just be another attachment. So you could provide the file and then you could provide another option here. You
What's
just have to be sure that you publish it so that it would be available to the student.
What's really cool is anywhere you can type, even in announcements or if you're, creating an assignment or an introduction, anywhere you can type, you can make a video note or an audio note. So it creates a way more personal experience. If I wanted to create like a announcement like welcome to my course, week 1, let's get started. Simple things like that, having them see your face or hear your voice is huge in an online environment. It makes them feel like they're in a class and they have a professor there. It takes away that bit of that intimidation of online courses.
When I click on the
yeah,
little
that's
play button here, Andre,
yeah.
do you see that right there, this little one here? Here is where I'm given the option to put in a video note. So let's say you were using a laptop or you were using a tablet or your a phone, you could create the video note and record it with the camera that's built into your device.
Great.
Any other questions about that?
No, I think that's really, really awesome. I was thinking exactly what Brie was saying, that this is really, really gonna personalize the experience so much more and it's gonna really feel a lot closer, if you will. I'm excited.
Absolutely. And the other thing is, because this LMS is mobile optimized, it allows for students who use cell phones. It allows for students who use laptops, desktops, tablets. It automatically resizes it so they have the same experience on whatever device they're using. Well, I know we have a lot of students that are either commuting or they use public transportation or they're in a position where maybe they can afford a tablet but can't yet afford a laptop. This now allows for a lot of that to be available to them. This system is just going to be so much easier for them to use. Moodle did not give us those options.
Yeah, let's get rid of Moodle quick.
Yeah, we're working on it.
And
Let's
the other
see.
thing is, it feels so, like, just watching it. I think just from like a techie standpoint, it's got to be seamless, feel natural, and I think it has that. Like, it's intuitive almost. Like, okay, I go here, yeah, that's where it is, or it's pretty straightforward, and I think that's gonna help a lot too.
Right. And you can keep it very clean. You can change views. There's a lot of options. And all of our courses, so all the students, when they have their login, they're going to see, we're going to lock this into everyone's, into their homepage, their dashboard is what I should call it. And so these are the, when we're talking about learners, which we could honestly say that we have an instructor training in here as well, but there's also for the students, there's going to be a basic, I'm just going to click on this so you can see it. This is going to take the students through some of those areas and making sure that they have what they need in order to succeed with it. And the same thing is going to be cleaned up for instructors. We have a course for instructors as well. So we have so many supports between the courses and the 24/7 telephone number, which is going to go live September 4th. Access to the Brightspace community, which is peer and D2L staff monitored, where you can ask a question or search out where someone else has already asked that question and find the discussion or answers to that. And then, of course, all of the resources that we have. It's really going to be wonderful. The school offered or paid for a 24/7 live help desk. So staffers from D2L will answer that phone and they will be able to answer questions when folks have them. So it's really, I think, well, it's bringing us into the 21st century. It's a real LMS. It is something that's going to help us to really expand our offerings and make the concept of utilizing the online component of blended courses and online courses much more dynamic. So I think that's what we had, right, Bree? I don't think we've missed anything. I don't think we have anything left for today.
Looks good.
But if you're good with that, Andreas, then we're good. And of course, you can, like I said, those pieces are going to be open. The support pieces September 4th to some of the there's a chat. That's the other piece I was going to share. There's a 24/7 telephone help support desk, and there's also going to be a chat option as well as the other pieces we spoke about, and those go live on the 4th of September. So they'll be available for people to go in and get familiar with. Faculty are going to have a little sandbox to kind of become familiar with the platform, and they have their instructor training that's going to be made available. We're going to send out a letter all at once with all of the information in one email, so you don't have to go digging for it or saying which email was that in. And we'll have one email with all of the information, all of the live links, all of it. So it'll be forthcoming, and we're going to. I'm trying to remember what they told us. Bree, do you recall when the courses will be accessible for faculty?
That's a good question. I do not know. I know that right now, technically, you can log in. I think you'll see your course, but I don't think there's any content in it. So
Right.
soon.
That's right. I don't think we finalized that with them, but that will be very soon. It will be before courses begin on the 9th as well. But I think that's pretty much what we've got today, and more info is going to be coming. And if you decide you want to come to the training on Monday, just shoot me a message so that I can send you the connection information.